Yeah, well, I think that it has impacted me in a couple of ways. One is I've developed a really good friendship with my mentor, and
Hmm.
that continues even after quite a few months after having been mentored by him, and we finished the program. And that contact has continued, and it's been very fruitful. It's just really good to have somebody check in, see how you're doing, um, and for me the same. Just talk to him if I have questions or ideas. And so that relationship that was started with somebody I didn't know at all at first, and that relationship has continued and been a real blessing to me. And so I just really appreciate that mentor-mentee relationship and the way that has continued even after the official program has concluded. Yet we continue to stay in touch, and that's been very good. Relationship was really a Zoom relationship, so
Yeah.
we just did everything on Zoom. I think when we went to the first conference that was in Port St. Lucie. That's where we first met, and we started there, and that was really nice. And then, of course, COVID hit, and we ended up doing all of our discipleship on Zoom. But we've continued that, and that has been very helpful. Although now we have other things where we've connected with each other in person. Um, he needed a favor for something for the golf outing, and I helped him get something that he needed for the golf outing. And so we've been connecting that way in person as well. And just stay in touch. Sometimes it's just a text, just saying, "Hey, is there anything I can pray
Hmm.
about for you?" He's always seems really concerned about the people in my life that I have been working with, and he'll ask about that so that he might pray for it. And then, of course, I'm a pastor of a church, and we're going through a significant transition. And he's always interested in what's going on now, what's happening next, how things are going, and how I'm dealing with that. So just having somebody to check in like that, whether it's in person or whether on a phone or whether through Zoom, has been a really refreshing thing for me. And his continued, you might say, concern about how things are, it's been really good. I think that for one, they're very biblically based. That is one of the more helpful things about the program. So even though it's kind of based on the sin salvation service of a particular doctrinal statement, it becomes very biblical as Scott brings out the various aspects of that. So I think that's one thing that has been really, really helpful. And the other thing it is quite practical as well. And so it's just applying those biblical truths to your life in ways that can easily make a difference. If you want them to, if you put those things into practice. The I think the lesson that, well, maybe there's been a couple of lessons, but in particular the ones that talks about atonement and how Jesus Christ is that mercy seat for us. That's a really good illustration, a good picture of how Christ covers our sins, and it's His blood that takes away our sins, and then we can stand right before the Lord. And I think that's that was really really good. And I think there's other good ones that he talks about. I'm trying to think, even it's kind of a simple one, and sometimes in my own teaching of it, I sometimes combine it with another lesson. But
Uh-huh.
just the idea of prayer and that God is our Abba Father, and that there's that relationship that we come to Him, in which we develop that relationship of deep appreciation and thanksgiving for who He is and what He has done for us. And that's just a good, this might say, comforting
Mm.
study that lets you know that God is caring for you because He's your dear dad. Yeah, I think I've been six or seven other people that I've
Wow.
discipling. So yeah, and that has gone really, really well. I think that everybody that has done it has been seemed to be sincerely appreciative of the program. Um, I think one thing that is, I try to get in person to person, because discipleship, during COVID on Zoom was a necessity, but
Right.
now that that's over, I hope to be able to do more in-person things. Although many of the people that I discipled, I get to see because they're part of my congregation. And so even now that we're back doing in-person worship, I do get to see them and talk to them and continue to just interact with them and their own discipleship. One example is just recently, I spent quite a bit of time this past year discipling a young man who just this past week, in fact, um, made a profession of faith in church. Really a special time to see that the fruit of that discipleship and his joining church, and and now he's going off to college now. Spending that time was really really good, and to see the results of that in the fact that he joined, he made a profession of faith and joined church was really really neat.